Mags are both chaste and feared in Demacia. The Mageseeker order seeks to protect Demacia from the influence of magic. But when an imprisoned mage named Silas manages to escape from his captivity just moments before his execution, it sets in motion a chain of events that will change Demacia forever in the Mageseeker, a League of Legends story from developer Digital Sun and publisher Riot Forge. When I initially saw the videos for this game, I assumed it would be an action RPG in which I could slaughter swaths of Mageseekers as one of League of Legends' many iconic characters. While I had a lot of fun with the Mageseeker, a League of Legends story, it was radically different from what I expected at practically every turn. And the majority of these huge surprises worked in its favor. Let's start with the gaming. Rather than racing around aimlessly, whipping enemies with Silas signature chains and releasing the ever-expanding arsenal of spells at my disposal, this game requested that I slow down and approach most combat engagements methodically. Few enemies in the game can be dismissed as mere nuisances, as most can deal significant damage if ignored, and most encounters saw multiple enemies appear at once with a mix of melee and magical attacks that demanded my attention if I didn't want to be burning through my healing potions to keep going. While I'm generally a hack-and-slash-gamer, the Mageseeker, a League of Legends story did an excellent job of acclimating me to its less forgiving gameplay. But, while I appreciated the most of what the game has to offer in terms of fighting, there are a few things I should point out. And the larger one has the majority of the game's bosses. Most bosses, in the time-honored video game tradition, have three forms that the player must fight through in order to win. While many of these modifications marked physical transformations, others just saw the boss's moveset improve. However, all too often, the final form followed the same game plan, covering the screen in so many area of effect assaults that there's little chance some damage won't get through. Because there was no safe place to hide during these terrifying last stages, I frequently felt as if I would die. It made surviving the early stages of the conflict, taking as little damage as possible, critical, because not having enough health to survive the downpour I knew was coming would be my death sentence. The only other notable aspect of the Mageseeker, a League of Legends story's gameplay that I found unfun was the inclusion of healing troops for your opponents. The enemy's healing units provide a huge quantity of healing, to the point where attacking anything else on the battlefield is nearly futile. However, killing one is difficult because they flee at full speed once you get too close. Even utilizing Silas chains to grapple them could be difficult, and while you're frantically trying to track down the healer, mags are hurling various magical spells at you while monstrous Goliaths slam you around. It made these situations difficult, but not always enjoyable. Fortunately, Digital Sun's developers were aware that they had a difficult game on their hands, and in order to accommodate less exact players like me, the developers included a couple of different ways to change the difficulty for a player's demands. In addition to the standard provision of easy mode, players can choose to enhance Silas's health and damage output. As a result, if the players wish to fight the opponents at their best, they can do so while receiving a small boost to help them weather the storm. I eventually had to accept the offer of increased life and damage to go past some of the game's most difficult boss battles. While the numerous challenges in the Mageseeker, a League of Legends story, will keep players on their toes, Digital Sun does an excellent job of letting Silas to grow into the challenges that await him. Silas obtains access to several companions as the game develops, allowing him to level up himself, his equipment, and his spell options, allowing him to become a formidable force to be reckoned with. While there are hurdles throughout the game, there comes a time when you realize that the little foes who formerly caused you trouble in the early levels of the game suddenly fall before you like wheat before a scythe. I like how the game doesn't entirely eliminate the early enemy kinds. Allowing the player to experience their progress provides a sense of genuine progress and empowerment. While most of Silas development occurs at home, a critical component begins on the battlefield. Silas' unique mage power is the ability to mimic the abilities of other magicians. When a player finds a new magical using enemy, it is a good idea to obtain a copy of the enemy's power. Silas gains one-time use of the ability when he copies it, but when he returns to base, one of his friends can grant him permanent access to the ability, which he can then equip to one of his up to 4 spell slots. Silas' ultimate skills are the final tool in his armory. Silas gains these skills from his foes in the same way as he gains spells. However, these are provided by numerous bosses with whom the player must combat. But not just any boss will suffice for Silas to sever the power of. These abilities are derived from a number of League of Legends champions who appear in the game. If you like League of Legends or any of the other games that use the IP, you're in for a treat with some of the game's most epic battles. Not only do many Damation figures appear in Silas' plot, but how they play on the battlefield properly reflects the character's classic movesets. From Lux's Final Spark to Morgana's Soul Shackles, each character's powers feel congruent with who they are. All of these conflicts and spectacular special attacks are brought to life by a flowing pixel art presentation that is always visually appealing. The characters are superbly animated, and the world of Runeterra is showcased through a variety of biomes, each of which is visually appealing and vibrant. Character images that emerge during speech are also stunning, as they morph to depict the characters' changing moods during interactions. The backbone of the Mageseeker, a League of Legends tale's unexpectedly deep and nuanced tale, is comprised of these dialogue moments. Following Silas as he seeks vengeance and eventually something more, the game does an excellent job of demonstrating how institutionalized prejudice can weave its way into a society. While some characters are plainly good and others are definitely evil, many fall somewhere in the between, demonstrating how where a person originates from may color how they think the appropriate path to alter the world should be. The plot ended up being a far greater part of my experience than I had anticipated, thanks to a few of very moving moments. This poignant drama is additionally enhanced by a fantastic music. The music contributes to the development of emotions throughout the game, but it truly shines in the final chapters. The dramatic final conflicts are greatly enhanced by the lovely soundtrack, which portrays the scale of the war. The Mageseeker, a League of Legends story, brings together yet another fantastic edition of the League of Legends universe. If an action RPG that encourages you to be calculating in your approach, along with a gripping plot about a societal revolution, sounds attractive to you, this is the game for you. The Mageseeker, a League of Legends story, is out now on the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4/5, Xbox One, Xbox Series SX, and PC.